So Idubbbz just released a video called, what is it called? So Idubbbz just released a video called The Harsh Reality of Creator Clash 2, in which he gets sympathy from viewers talking about how because of Creator Clash 2, he's now $250,000 in the hole, and that the event only sold 50,000 tickets compared to the 100,000 that the first event sold. Now, Idubbbz seems a little bit confused by this financial disaster because he thought by having more talent and more influential creators on the event that it'd be more popular, be more successful. And he seems to think that pirated sites that were rebroadcasting the stream for free are to blame for the lack of ticket sales. So what's the real reason Creator Clash 2 was a financial flop? Well, to start with, let's compare it to the first event. For one, around that time, influencer boxing was a lot newer on the scene. There was not as many events, and nobody really knew what to expect, seeing longtime creators like Harley Mornstein and Ego Raptor entering the ring. So there was a little bit of a shock value, a little bit of an initial hype leading up to the first Creator Clash. Also at the time, Idubbbz was far more respected and admired as a creator himself. Granted, back then there was still some controversy around his banning of Sam Hyde and his friends from the event, but that was relatively minor compared to the Froggy Fresh situation that happened this year. So I think you could chalk up the success of the first Creator Clash to viewers not knowing what to expect, viewers being excited at what was coming, and people generally having a favorable outlook on Idubbbz and the things he had done up to that point. Now, a lot of this shock value was lost after the event was over because it was clear that Creator Clash was not competing with DAZN or even Happy Punch and other organizations. This was not a tournament, it was a series of exhibition matches between creators who just said, fuck it, yeah, I'll box, I'll try my hand at influencer boxing. Nowadays, influencer boxing is a lot more competitive, and there are real boxing contenders with fighters like KSI and Jake Paul fighting at more of a professional level now, but it's clear that Creator Clash went a different path. They're not trying to compete with DAZN or anything. And look, there's nothing wrong with hosting a fun celebrity boxing event where everyone can just enjoy themselves and have a good time. But if you're going to go that route, you might want to reconsider your business strategy, because having pay-per-view tickets for amateur fights means that the only types of people who are going to watch either really love charity or really like the fighters. And after the whole situation with Froggy Fresh, after the mishandling of the response and the PR nightmare that was leading up to the second event, I think a lot of people had already turned their backs on Idubbbz and his associates. So if you're relying on an audience like that to sell tickets, you either need to have way better PR, make much smarter decisions, or just not be lame as hell and do things like banning Froggy Fresh, who was training for months leading up to the event. You want to be more clear with what your rules are. And I mean, just everything about that whole situation was horribly mishandled from any standpoint, business, PR, just cool factor or whatever. I mean, it's just like Idubbbz and everyone involved just seems 10 times more lame given how they handled that compared to the year before, where it was, you could see some of that, but it wasn't nearly as bad yet. If you want to raise money for charity, take a look at some events that have been doing this successfully for years at this point. And I can't believe I'm about to use Games Done Quick as a good example, but for all the controversy and PR debacles that they've been associated with, they still managed to raise money for charity at every single event, and in some cases millions of dollars, because they have a completely different approach to business. They don't hide their event behind a paywall. They don't make anyone buy a ticket to watch it. The whole thing is broadcasted live for free. And the way that they receive funding is through getting donations and by thanking people who donate. This is something Idubbbz is doing right now to get people to crowdfund his losses from Creator Clash. So clearly that's a method that works. Now, of course, this does open the door to a lot more unknowns and even more backlash potentially, since the whole thing is being contributed to and funded by viewers directly. People have a lot more say in the event via their donation messages or really just the power they have in their dollar. Whereas before, it's like everything is just behind a paywall. Nobody knows how many tickets are being sold. And the only reason we know now is because Idubbbz is basically asking for handouts from viewers because it did so poorly. So in other words, having this crowd-funded approach opens you up more and really means that the more inclusive of an environment you have, the better it will perform generally. But given how Creator Clash handled the past couple years, I don't think they could really call themselves inclusive unless you're talking about inclusive to a very specific group of politically correct, advertiser-friendly influencers, which isn't inclusive at all. It's actually exclusive. So if you're trying to be exclusive, you're not going to have as much public support and backing, and you're not going to be able to raise as much money for charity unless the exclusive thing that people are paying for is really cool and really admired and respected and people really want to see it. And I just don't think that's been the case for Idubbbz or any of a lot of the people he's had on Creator Clash for the past year. The other option is to just embrace all the controversy, all the backlash, and go the DAZN route, which just focuses on the competitive skill of boxing and the actual individual athleticism of each fighter. This makes all of the controversy and he said, she said pale in comparison to the actual spectacle and competition of fighting. But, you know, Creator Clash is not about that. It's just about having fun. It's just about punching your friends and, you know, raising money for charity and all that. So given the actions of Idubbbz in the past year, it's a very strange approach to have this exclusive paywall for this event that's trying to raise money for charity. I think he'd be much better off with opening up the event, having everyone being able to watch it, and taking funding through donations while trying his hardest to win back his audience or just make his public image less of this, I don't know, corporate, spineless, authoritative figure that he comes off as now. And, you know, it's probably not all Idubbbz. I'm sure there's plenty of people behind the scenes encouraging him and influencing him to act like that. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say is the reason for Creator Clash having such a financial loss on the second time they've had an event. And, you know, this is coming from someone who's hosted an event that in some ways failed and in some ways succeeded with Lightwave. That's something I got a lot of backlash for, even though, you know, I didn't make anyone spend any money. I lost about $25,000 of my own money. But the event was successful in getting certain people to meet each other and making certain business deals go through, even though that was kind of just an afterthought, but that is what happened. My real goal was to get people in the seats and people watching and all that. That didn't really happen, not to the scale I wanted it to. I've talked about it before, but that's kind of a story for another video. I've learned a lot from that, and it is stressful to put on events, and I know a little bit of what Ian is going through with that. So this video is just genuine advice. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but it's kind of hard not to be given all the decisions Ian's made and how smug he comes off. But anyways, that's my advice to Ian. If you're gonna host Creator Clash 3, open the event to the public, don't have any ticket sales, no pay-per-view, have donations, make the thing a lot more involved with viewers and donators, and you'll probably be fine. Just don't set a super high expectation and don't make it super exclusive as you've been doing. And try not to get involved in any more PR nightmares, and try not to ban people over stupid, silly, dumb shit. And if you're gonna do that, at least make it clear from the very start of what your intentions are. So that's my advice. Take it or leave it. And if you do take it, give me that check in the mail. Give me a few thousand. You give 20,000 to the fighters, I'll take 10,000. 10,000 for free, life-changing business advice that will save you from financial ruin in the future. Bye.